Stick with us, this is going to be a journey into the unknown, but we're back in the UK for the European Le Mans Series 2025.
Under investigation.
And down into Copse Corner we go for the first time. Oliver Gray leading the way, but no longer is Jonas Reed in second place because Kuba Śmiechowski's got the jump from the inside of the second row and is now ahead of the yellow Iron Lynx Proton car. Algarve Pro Racing's Matthias Kaiser fending everybody else off, it seems, after a good start for Benjamin Pedersen in the black and green Duquesne car. And now a chance to get desperate temperature into these tyres onto the hangar straight for the first time.
Trouble, I think, for number 3. That's
yes.
It's Georgios Kolovos, I think, has had it. There he is across the infield. But looked like a cracking start for the 43 car. Start is always under investigation, so I'll take a good look at that. But it did look like Kuba Śmiechowski had a real cracker.
It's not just Kolovos who's in strife at Maggots Beckett's, because Rodrigo Sales could have been involved with that as well. So 2 LMP2 Pro-Am cars have not reached the end of the first segment, at least. We're now going past the wing, which is always very confusing because camera views can make it look like the start-finish straight. Not quite back there yet, because now dive bombing into Village goes the 24 car, which has been started by Philippe Albuquerque. Interesting that they put a pro in for the opening stint there rather than the silver. And Albuquerque's off on the grass though now and has lost a hatful of time as he goes through the Kinkard Aintree and onto the Wellington Straight. So back towards the complex, still cars weaving to try and get heat into the Goodyear CLX cars, and that is Alexander Malikin. And CLX Pure Racing car had started quite a bit further up in the order, 37, starting 9th place, and now the 31 car.
As well in trouble, with Jacques Wolf in the gravel. This might be a very early intervention here. And as you can see, some LMP3 cars mixed in amongst the GT3s. That was Julien Gerby. And he's just passed Celia Martin for position, recovering that position. It is Celia Martin for the Iron Dames that leads. We are going to go to an immediate virtual safety car.
So this is a chance again to get some meaningful racing in after a fairly lengthy segment of caution. Virtual safety car, 2 laps pretty much into a safety car. But now we're racing again at Silverstone. No overtaking before the control line. Remember, the finish line slightly before the start line, so therefore immediately out of Woodcote is where we'll see the checkered flag at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and that's a good overtake from Philippe Albuquerque on Paul Lafargue. So the Nielsen Racing car moving up to 6th place ahead of the 28.
Which it needs to do because they're burning time here with Philippe Albuquerque, one of the top-rated drivers in the 24 car. That's not worked quite yet, been followed through here. All sorts of action in the middle pack. Still Ollie Gray leading and has pulled away nicely there. Tucking in behind the GR Racing Ferrari is the JMW car, the 66. 66 in the hands of Scott Noble. In comes number 3 again.
Yeah, I can't understand that. Not sure what that's about, but Georgios Kolovos clearly not happy with the car. Is it carrying more damage than he thought? Has there now been discovered a slow puncture, perhaps? But Kolovos is in for DKR Engineering after his spin as a result of contact at Maggots Beckett's. The 30 car with Roy Nassani, Israeli driver, to come later on. He was put in for qualifying. They've also got Jean-Baptiste Simonard, no, it's wrong car. They've also got Richard de Guiras, who's had a pole position already this year. Into the Vale. Oh, huge spin for the car that was on pole position in LMP3, and that was really well gathered up, in fairness. My word, Leo Weiss could have been in the gravel trap at Club. Really held up the Spirit of Race Ferrari, but amazingly must have pulled clear from that scene.
And we should mention, by the way, aboard the Ginetta, this is Philippe Albuquerque. He's toughing it out with Jonas Reed, goes out the inside, forces the German driver to the outside, did well to keep that in a straight line. Here's the 22 car as well, Manuel Maldonado. Brilliant battle here for 3rd place overall. And at the moment, that's gone the way of Philippe Albuquerque, trying to bully his way to the lead here, towards the leader. He's made good his escape for Jonas Reed, who's now under pressure that puts traffic between him to himself and Manuel Maldonado. Another LMP2 car.
Oh, big off for the Mercedes, and that's a hard hit into the barrier as well.
That's a huge hit.
So where is that coming out of? The main straight, perhaps. It's Martin Berry, who was in 8th position. How on earth did he end up there?
There's damage, and it might well be, there you go, to the CLX Pure Racing car, and I do wonder whether or not that was cause and effect.
Alex Malyakin involved in another incident. Remember, he was spun around. We go immediately safety car, not a virtual safety car, but safety car closes the pit. It was coming out of Luffield into Woodcote, and the contact has come to the left of Martin Berry's car, which spears him off to the left. The marshals run for safety, but that's a huge hit into... Actually, there's no tyres there anymore because car's just not expected to fall off at that kind of angle. So hard into the Armco barrier, which is designed to give, and the Mercedes taking most of the energy, but it actually lifted the rear wheels off the ground there.
Martin would have known nothing about that until the car was out of shape.
He's had a lot of success this year, and we're going to go red flag, in fact, to deal with the state of the barrier and also the recovery of the Mercedes. This might be a little bit to do with issues we've had earlier on in the year about where is the recovery, where are the recovery vehicles positioned, and if they need to cross the track, it can be dealt with. No, it's all about the tyre wall.
Ollie Gray has been emerging as one of the real stars this season. He gets to decide, and there he goes. And will Benji Pedersen match that? He's already gapped him, so he's done it again. A good restart again from Ollie Gray.
Yeah, that was right at Brooklands, right on the apex, and he has left Benji Pedersen 3 or 4 car lengths in behind. It's about the same distance to Philippe Albuquerque, though, as well. So the Portuguese either didn't react or sort of chose not to, probably thinking, I can catch these guys anyway once I get back up to speed. The difficulty was in behind because the Ginetta that is in LMP3, the race-leading LMP3 car, was preventing the 9 that is 4th, Jonas Reed in the Iron Lynx car, from overtaking, because you can't do that until you get to the finish line, the control line.
Jonas judged that pretty well. Realised that was going to be a problem.
Pit entry is now open. Pit entry is now open.
So that's after the last car in the train would have passed the pit entry. He realised he couldn't do that before the line, just hung back a little, then launched it and pretty much got by him as quickly as he possibly could.
Who was second place for a long time, and of course second place car when they were lined up on the start finish under the red flag, has just made a stop. So that's dropped the Duquesne team briefly, the Duquesne team car briefly out of the fight at the head of the order. Ollie Gray is doing Ollie Gray things in building an 8-9 second lead over Philippe Albuquerque, but that is at the end of the Hamilton straight, where the 12 car appears to have just stopped. But this is one car that was certainly in for the fight of a victory today at Silverstone. Torsten Kratz in the WTM by Rinaldi racing car. Can't see that he's been in the wall there, Graham. I think he's just pulled off to the end of pit wall at the wing. Yeah, it's the purple painted concrete that gives it away. That's a big one as well. And Roda's off the road, and he's going to ping back again just close to the bridge on the Wellington straight. PJ Hyatt, I think, is going to get plenty of warning and does get out of the throttle, but that was 3 cars together abreast, 2 LMP3s and an LMP2, I think. Certainly the 15 RLR M Sport car involved. So Nick Adcock on an outlap, Giorgio Roda, who's not on an outlap, and the 3rd car I didn't quite have time to identify, but we will do in just a tick. Safety car again, and of course we still needed to collect the 12 car that was stranded at the end of the wing pit lane, so it's not another LMP3 car.
Francois Perrodo's car was involved in close proximity there.
So either side then of Adcock.
So Francois, that was right. What happened there? Francois was over the curbs, trying to avoid the moving. It's a really weird one there. Looking from that angle, it looked that Francois was moving over on Nick. Looking from the other angle, it looked like it was the 15 that made the move.
And PJ Hyatt, as I mentioned at the time, has to then pick his way through the debris field, which litters that straight. The 12 car has had its difficulties. Well, it had a lock-up, didn't it, into Vale, and then just no forward motion on the Hamilton straight. So pulls off in a pretty safe position, well, close to the apex at Abbey, in fairness, but that's the best that Torsten Kratz could do. And another red flag to deal with the debris field, presumably, and potentially the damage on the Armco as well.
I think that was a very big hit from Giorgio to driver's left.
Track is green, no overtaking before the line, please.
The exception to that, of course, is that if you've got a full load of fuel, maybe the bronzes will stay in for a little bit longer. Predominantly, we've had changes in LMP2 because the 1 hour completed, although Philippe Albuquerque stays at the wheel of the 24 Nielsen racing car. On to lap 32 we go, and quickly he's got to clear these 2 LMP3s, one done already at Copse, but he couldn't begin that overtaking before the control line. And now powers his way out of Copse towards Maggots and Beckett, with Manuel Espirito Santo running in second position, less than a second between those two. Manuel Maldonado in the red-roofed United Autosports car, there he is, working his way through Beckett's now as well, and past the crash site where Giorgio Roda at high speed left the road, and there was concern about the Armco barrier. All that's been sorted out, but another 20 minutes of red flag in order to do so. Then we had a safety car as the race restarted, and plenty of the LMP2s have had a chance to take fuel and potentially tyres as well. Here's the championship leading VDS Panis racing car with Esteban Masson taking charge. So Ollie Gray did his part, he built that gap, then he watched it disappear very quickly. And actually the rest of his stint was very easy behind the safety car, Graham.
Yes, indeed it was. And then once this settles down, then we're going to bring you some utterly extraordinary news from here at Silverstone. So watch out for that. History made here today. But let's hope we get some sustained green flag running. It does seem as if people are giving maybe a little bit wider a berth in this phase of the race.
Maybe a few team managers. Oh, we're saying that now.
Oh,
look at that up the inside.
That's team cars. That was the 2 EDEX Sport cars. Something going on there. Those 2 cars have been in close, I'll use the word contact, more than once. But for any of those days, thank you so much.
You and I over breakfast were trying to guess that figure before it was announced. Got nowhere close to that. So fabulous. Amazing. Congratulations, everybody. 110,000, and what a thing that is to build on when this championship returns to Silverstone in 2026. It's the equivalent weekend, isn't it, next year, second weekend of September.
Yes.
And round 5. That was a place change, by the way, for Nick Yellerly in the Inter-Europol competition car, who's now got ahead of Manuel Maldonado as well. Are United starting to regret not changing their driver?
Trouble for the JMW car.
Scott Noble still can't get out of that car yet because he's not done his 90 minutes. Was there contact?
Just maybe a tiny tick there
from the Ryan Dames.
Yeah, but just picking up the throttle there just a bit too quickly, and just a bit of a contact and a help around.
Between Village and the loop, turns 13 and 14, that happened, and unfortunately Scott Noble's loop was rather larger than everybody else's, but he was able to rejoin, having lost a handful of places, down to 11th position now. Sorry, no, a bit further than that, 9th position for Scott Noble in JMW Motorsports Ferrari, ahead of Andrew Gilbert.
See where that leaves him in time terms as he passes the next timing beam, but I'll tell you in terms of track position, drops him to the bottom of the LMP2 and the LMP2 Pro Am order, down to 18th place. And we'll see the actual.
Is really piling the pressure on Mike Wainwright around the outside. Oh, but just the rear just gave up, and she had to breathe it there, get completely out the throttle. And I think that's just shows you that the track temperature here really is challenging for everybody. You get onto that really loaded outside shoulder on the left rear, and it just started to give up.
Watch this again.
Nice move there, just to try and get it off. That was a lot of curb, took there the apex.
Well, Matters almost started that. The Aston went for a move on the Porsche, and then when that wasn't going to happen, then Celia had a go at Mike Wainwright's Ferrari. There was some good understanding between them all, but yes, through the rough on the inside of Vale Corner for Celia Martat, and therefore the tyres not in their best condition immediately after that, after a great race at Imola earlier in the year for that car.
Yeah, it'll be another phase now in the GT race. Ollie, you know you've been keeping a close eye on this.
He's just coming through Stone. Oh, so close, and there was some contact there. We cut away from that shot, and I was thinking, where are those 2 cars going to go? Because you could just see the body language and where it's all going to end up, and they're going to be parked on the exit curb together. an amazing job for everybody to sort of get out of that one without any big contact.
Great shot as well that showed what happens when the car is loaded up and there's even a minor contact.
Oh, it's huge.
It's just a pendula almost, the rear end of that Oreca. Meanwhile, by the way, the Ferrari just stone cold.
Well, yeah, but I think that Kimura was definitely did all he could to try and avoid bigger contact there. But yes, certainly when you get contact like that on that right rear as you're fully loaded coming through a corner like Stowe, oh, it has a huge effect. Just that transfer of weight across the car, it really upsets the balance.
Keep an eye, by the way, on all these class positions.
Kimura-san is getting absolutely bombarded here by the rest of the P2 field. He's got to be thinking, I need to get out now, I've done my time, get Ben Tuck ready.
Still with LMP2 car, trying to get through here, and it's tight there for Boniface in third place overall, in a hurry to get through here.
Keen not to lose any more time to a fellow silver racer, Manuel Espirito Santo, but Manuel did seem to cope with all of that traffic a little better. So Jembolok Bashi licking his wounds to a certain extent and caught the traffic into Vale and Club just at the wrong point, but kept his nose clean and stays in third position, but I'm sure was caught by Lorenzo Fluxa in the Algarve Pro Racing car. Meanwhile, in LMGT3, that is a lead change. Corvette ahead of Ferrari.
Yeah, that just happened as they're coming down there into that complex just for the Wellington Straight. It was just that I think that Kimura-san was sort of kind of caught out with the faster P-car traffic up behind him, and Rui Andrade just pounced and got the deal done.
Watching on board here with Dane Cameron. He's on a bit of a tear at the moment. He's got Lorenzo Fluxa within reach, but needs to clear this traffic quickly and safely. If he does so, I think we could be looking at a battle for fourth overall here, as Cameron is closing down the Algarve Pro car, albeit he's now under threat from Matteo Caroli.
Yeah. Down the inside is going to attempt to pass Tom Fleming on Riccardo Agostini. So the black with the orange stripes car for the British racer didn't work on one side at Stowe. Thought about the inside line into Vale. This is where it's very, very greasy. And how's it going to be like offline? Well, Tom Fleming's found out and he's wriggled through. Good overtake in the end, thinking a few corners ahead in actual fact, but that gave him the inside line at Club.
Yeah, nicely done. A little bit of contact there, but it's executed pretty well. He's sort of just missing a bit of a mirror now. It's just dangling.
They're just there for a guide,
yeah,
aren't they?
Absolutely.
Pretty much.
Interestingly, Ferrari have realised that is a weak point on the otherwise epic 296 GT3, and that is part of the car that's going to be fixed with the 2026 Evo.
Okay.
Because those have proved to be quite vulnerable when going elbow to elbow.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think especially when you're fighting a fellow Ferrari as well, so they're at the same height, aren't they? And one's going to give, for sure. That's what happened for Tom Fleming, but he won't care one jot. And he's through to third and trying to catch Celia Martin. Meanwhile, Jembolok Bashi and Lorenzo Fluxa. What happened there? There was a slower car almost letting them through. We'll try and work that out in a second. But here's Fluxa to the inside of Club Corner.
That's the sister car.
Okay. I did wonder that, so actually doing Bolok Bashi a favour, and he stays ahead, the Turkish racer, up against Lorenzo Fluxa of Mallorca.
Yeah, Sergio Setigamara, as that car's been delayed, there's no point in getting away of a significant battle. This will be the driver change coming for the Iron Dames. Sarah Bovier will be to take over from Celia Martin. With the exception of that miscue that saw the drive-through, it's been another exceptional opening stint from Celia Martin.
Oh, it has. And now they're in this tricky window where it's which tyre do you take? You clearly want to stay on the slick if you can, but the rain is just slowly falling, and is it going to be enough for people to start?
Slick's ready.
Yeah, so maybe it's another set of slicks that are slightly pressured.
It's just not wet enough at the moment, and you could gamble on more rain arriving,
sure,
but I just think you're going to lose far too much time.
Absolutely, yeah.
In the first 15 minutes of the next stint.
And then, you know, at this point, they're mostly going, we just wanted to do one or the other.
Of course.
Lest we forget, by the way, here's our leader, Nick Yellerly, 27 seconds up the road. This has been an epic stint from Nick Yellerly.
Yeah, and he's...
Yeah, so into Europol competition. swinging through club and past the wing halfway around this current lap, but Nick Yellerly leads by almost half a minute and into the 3 corners in one at Village, the Loop and Aintree, and that's, remember, the curb at Aintree is kind of a warning to everybody what's just happened to Matteo Cairoli. Slower speed, although it's still flat, but you're picking up pace, so the aero's not necessarily doing its job at the end of the Wellington Straight in comparison, and just as the aero broke, that's when Cairoli, his car switched ends, but a much uncharacteristic mistake from Matteo Cairoli. Likewise there from Esteban Masson in the 48 car, who vaults his way over the gravel trap at Club. Cost him 21 seconds, that spin.
Yeah.
There or thereabouts. And
very early in the lap as well.
The speed through sector 2's not great either. Has he had another one where the rain is really starting to come down? Not another spin necessarily, or did he lose the back of the car at the loop? No, it was just a slower run and indicative of how much the slick tyre are the wrong tyre to be on right now.
We stuck with this shot. I think you're going to see Nick Yellerly just in the background, just making pit lane any moment now. Not signalled yet as being in pit lane, but he's in that order. He'll be relieved to get back, won't he? At the moment, his gap, he is now on pit lane. His gap before he pitted, 1 minute and 39 seconds.
Incredible.
Even with that spin.
Yeah, and well, majority of the cars behind have pitted, but some have not.
And that's ideal timing, by the way. 43 comes in as 34 leaves. Can they position that slight pushback there because of the position of the Corvette? That's going to cramp the start of TF Sport ahead. They're not going to be very impressed with that. Now the Racing Bakers go to work, and it is, of course, for wet weather Goodyear tyres and a driver change for the 43.
Now, the reason Inter Europol had to do that was there's a yellow taped square, oblong, that the car needs to be within before you start doing any work on the car. And there were a couple of cars last weekend at COTA that were pinged for getting the driver out too soon, before the car was within that quadrant. So they're not deliberately, you know, upsetting the TF Sport pit stop.
No.
That's where you've got to be to start your work.
And, will be no respecter here of LMP2 class ahead. You just want more and more track position. Up the inside, though, of the 21 comes the Algarve Pro car of Alex Quinn. Spotted a huge banner, by the way, out on track. World's fastest farmer, Alex Quinn, it says.
Okay, it's an interesting claim.
It is an interesting claim. I believe that Nick Tandy's waiting outside the main gate with a pitchfork.
Yeah. Or a combine harvester, perhaps. They could maybe have a farm off in the field surrounding Silverstone.
Plough off, that'd be good.
Plough off, okay, yeah, good. There's lots of competitions in that respect in this country. Now, Alex Quinn got the move done on Marino Sato. We were sort of within the confines of Marino Sato's cockpit as that happened, and it just shows you how quickly a situation can change, because Sato losing 2 positions pretty much on the same lap to Delatraz and Quinn, and now Quinn's going to focus the crosshair on Paul-Luc Chatin's E-Deck Sport 28 car, which is not in the same category of LMP2s, but there's nothing to stop those getting really mixed up. They do appear to be mixed up on the timing screen right now, which is still a bit of a stretch. So yeah, maybe being a bit light-footed could get them there.
So now we've got Malaysia on Clem Novalak. So it could be all sorts of things. Could be we expected changing conditions. You're therefore almost certain to have seen these teams with some kind of compromise setup on the car. There may well be some difference here in terms of tyre pressures they've chosen with the conditions that we expected to get worse during this stint. Maybe all of that is coming into play, and all of a sudden is Louis Delatraz on Clem Novalak, and it's Novalak that's dropping down through the order at the moment. Dunkadella, by the way, is holding the gap to Tom Dillman to 15.5 seconds or so. Bonabasi, though, keeping them almost 5 seconds back. Fittipaldi, Pietro Fittipaldi, as we make clear, we've got 2 of them in this race, is equidistant back in 4th. Ben Hanley is closing a little, though, and has got Alex Quinn right with him. Quinn is absolutely flying into Europol and International. round out the relatively underlaid top 7. We are 90 seconds away from the final hour of this race.
It was an interesting move from the 50 Ferrari to take Agostini out when they did, because he hadn't quite done an hour. He could have done an hour and 15 as the maximum for a gold, but Liliwadu went in a tad early, but again, maybe to just match up with the fuel mileage that that 50 car is doing. I hear what you're saying in that others might have an advantage because of that, but that won't necessarily tell until the closing stages of this race. With an hour and a minute to go, that means we're still going to be racing until quarter to 4 this afternoon. Just beyond that, 10 to 4 probably.
Keeping an eye on Daniel Cadella. He's the 201s. First time in a few laps he's actually bettered the pace of Tom Dillman. That gap is hovering around the 11.5 to 12 seconds. But Dillman has been making inroads here.
A little bit of that roof decal is peeled back because of the aero, and I'm just concerned that it's covering a bit of the vent on the top of the car 43,
yeah.
Tom Dillman, because the look of the car was slightly different from what I'm used to, and that's what it is. It's the windscreen visor which the air has got beneath, probably helped out by the rainwater as well.
As we get into this final hour, Alex Quinn finally is not making major strides at this moment into the car ahead. That's Pietro Fittipaldi. Thierry Pourchaire right with his teammate. The 20, the LMP2 Pro car, and the 25. Both have had their problems in this race, but have come on very, very strong indeed in about the last 15-20 minutes.
And running a tad wide there is Novalak. That might be Delatrase's opportunity. He plugs the gap, but Novalak's trying to run it to the line at least. I think Novalak's still there to the left-hand side of the AO by TF car. Spike the Dragon liking the wet conditions though, and does make it through.
He has indeed. It's the train, by the way, making its way back up towards the front of this race, and gaps are beginning to close again. Daniel Cadella still 11.5 seconds to good. Dillman in second is dropping Pietro Fittipaldi, who's holding the gap to Alex Quinn at about 5 seconds. Beyond that, though, there are tiny gaps. Any error from anybody at this stage is going to be very, very costly. It's a fair number of teams here battling not to pit very late in this race. And the problem for several of them is they're in battles on track.
Yeah.
The gap to the lead is continuing to come down. It's 8.4 seconds now with 45 minutes to go, and we're in the window for final stops for LMP2 in these conditions.
Rick Cohn, Reece Gold, not separated by much real estate at all. In fact, they flashed through briefly in the other order through the end of Sector 1, but the pink car for Inter-Europol competition is marginally ahead. Ian Aguilera's a bit further up the road from this pair, as Rick Cohn catches quite a bit of curb at Vale, the left-hander.
Daniel Cadella must have heard what I said. Leader in the pits, 45 minutes to go. There he is. EDEC Sports, the Genesis Magma Racing Trajectory Program car. I've been in the mix pretty much all the way through this, battling away with the sister EDEC car in the hands of Jamie Chadwick, and then again in the hands of Mathis Jobert. And that's all allowed Daniel Cadella to put in an absolutely stellar stint. Into Europol's Tom Dillman inherits the lead at the moment. And this is we're seeing on the right-hand side the other Inter-Europol car, the 34 car, down in 11th place. And all of a sudden, pretty much all the lead group, there they are. It's going to be a very busy pit lane for Steph Wentworth to be patrolling right now.
Well, that was about a 45-minute stint for all of these, with 45 minutes still to go.
Would note, by the way, that was not a particularly clean exit for the 18 car, because all those cars were coming in as he was trying to come out. Trouble for the 4th place car in LMP2 Pro-Am. It's a drive-through penalty and 1 penalty point for TDS Racing overtaking under the yellow flag. And there's still places where there is very limited grip. It's been quite the weekend, hasn't it? It's been some cracking racing to call. There's been some carnage to call as well. I've been delighted with the voices we've been able to bring to you this afternoon. A whole galaxy of stuff going on in this wider sports, not just here at Silverstone but around the world. And we've got under half an hour now of, we hope, great racing to call before we can tell you who are the winners of the Goodyear 4 Hours of Silverstone. And one of them might well be a title winner by the end of this race.
Yeah. Inside for the 83 LMP2 car driven by Mathieu Vaxivière, battling with Charles Milesi, indeed.
And that puts the Vidias Panis racing car briefly outside the top 10, but battled back. Is that the 9 car in contention as well? It is. So this is a 3-car battle for position. And at this phase of the race, the upward momentum for VDS Panis Racing has been stalled.
Yeah, it has. But remember that, well, they're still gunning for 8th place, and that hasn't changed matters because the LMP2s are scored independently from the LMP2 Pro-Ams. But nevertheless, the performance for the 48 compared to 1 or 2 cars around it just doesn't seem to be there.
The key is that the car behind it now is a car in class position. It's the 9, and that is an LMP2 class car.
Yeah.
So whatever's going on with the current state of preparation or strategy or setup for the number 48 seems to be sub-optimal. 2:05 last time around for Charles Milesi, and that is 3 seconds off the pace of most of the cars ahead of him.
Much of it has actually worked its way very quickly off the racing line, but bits of tyre and canvas potentially.
Full course yellow is coming.
There we go.
So full course yellow is coming.
For that reason.
M Racing's Ligier, by the way, made it to the pits before that happened in the hands of Quentin Antonel from 2nd place. What is that going to do to the overall order in LMP3? 17.5 minutes to go.
Course yellow in 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow. We are under full course yellow on start-finish straight and T1. Bear totally to the right. We are exposing marshals and the track is wet. Bear totally to the right. Start-finish straight. We are exposing marshals and the track is wet. T1, bear totally to the right.
So coming out of turn 1 at Copse, but also the approach to that corner, so out of Woodcote as well. Everyone's going to have to be mindful, and they are obeying that instruction, bearing totally to the right with these huge chunks of, well, actually it's picked up in one go. 68 car is 2nd in LMP3, but looks like the need for another pit stop, as the regulations dictate, can be avoided for car 68. Good distance away actually from CLX.
Full course yellow in 30 seconds.
CLX surely on course to a championship if they can stay there, and they've got a big lead.
I think M Racing have just put enough fuel in to get to the end. I think
20
it's just
seconds
a splash
to remove full course yellow.
Okay. Yep. Well, remember that
we are removing full course yellow in
here's the
10,
removal.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow removed. Thank you.
Here go the Ferraris, and Lilu Wadu got the message from her dashboard information, and I'm sure from the engineer as well. Ricardo Pera, very, very close indeed. Feels like he was closer. Well, he's closer now than he was going into that full course yellow, but the speeds will be checked. It might be that something was in error on the 50 car and it wasn't going as fast as it could have done.
It seemed like a good restart, and I didn't think it missed the trigger point for Lilu Wadu. Held off Ricky Pera. Lilu doing fantastic job in the Ferrari this year. Ricky Pera, another one like Ben Tuck. That should be on the list of anybody's fastest silvers right now, and he's right there up the inside of the number 50 car. Has he got a good enough run though to get it done here? He might just have. There's almost a side draft, and I think he's going to pass that car. Beautiful pass from Ricky Pera. GR Racing go through and into the lead of this race.
Only just did he hang on to the car though, because that was going to be the next question mark. What's the grip level like? And again, it's not ideal for Ricardo Pera, but he seems more at home with it than Lilu Wadu in behind. And now the problem for her is all the spray pouring off the back of the GR Racing Ferrari. Riccardo Pera, knowing that he was no longer alongside the Richard Mille, of course, a Ferrari, could afford a moment just to zigzag a little bit to generate more tyre temp and hope that he can switch these wet weather tyres on in possibly the worst conditions we've had all day, as Lilu Wadu tries to arrest the speed of the 50 car, swing left and right at Vale and Club. 28 EDEC Sport car now heading out onto the hangar straight. That is Paul-Luc Chatin. Meanwhile, the sister car of Danny Juncadella, driven brilliantly earlier on by Jamie Chadwick and particularly Mathis Jobert, in drier conditions, but now a big responsibility for Spaniard Danny Juncadella. Can he even see the road in front of him? Well, he's in a better position than most, with no traffic heading into Brooklands and Luffield, so this is a delight for Danny Juncadella.
Yeah, 11 minutes to survive this. It is getting worse, no doubt about it. Visually, you can see the spray is getting higher. I don't think we're quite to the point where we've got huge amounts of standing water. This Silverstone circuit does drain pretty well, but it's undoubtedly more challenging and getting darker without a shadow of a doubt. And in those conditions, traffic is going to be just all the more challenging. Black and orange flag for car 31. That you said the repair to the Racing Spirit Le Mans LMP3 Ligier did not look that convincing. We've got yellows at turn 7, and that is the 22 car, I think, off the road. That is Gregoire Saucy, who's on a out lap after having had emergency service, we think.
Yeah, so that was the second pit stop that he needed to do. Although this is not the same incident. That was an overtake from the 83 of Vaxivière, getting ahead of Alexander Quinn, maybe. For position, but Capietto. Oh, but now the 83's off the road. As we were trying to work out the positions, through will go Capietto in the number 9 car. And this is where Vaxivier's got to be cautious about the rejoin. And there was a car floating around, aquaplaning its way out of Luffield as well, which was the other Algarve Pro Racing car. This is clearly a major concern now about standing water here and there, and a car just skating off towards the scenery.
Conditions getting significantly worse now, and as managed to get through there. Visibility is absolutely appalling. Track conditions not that awful at the moment. It's visibility that's the issue. Whilst our cameras aren't as good as the human eye, it's very clear that since going back to green, this has got a lot worse.
3 laps maybe, I reckon, for Danny Juncadella. So can he survive that? Can everybody else survive that? 4 seconds, that's a red flag.
I'm not surprised.
That'll be it, surely. That will be the end of the race, and EDEC Sport can start to celebrate a 3rd victory in the 2025 season. We couldn't continue after that. It was going to be a huge incident, I'm sure, and we got enough in the book. I mean, we've already into overtime, aren't we? Nearly 40 minutes of that, when the race was rescheduled to finish at 3 o'clock this afternoon. So the EDEC trio of Danny Juncadella, Mathis Jobert and Jamie Chadwick, who I'm sure have had so many British fans flocking around her this weekend, make it 3 wins from the season, having been victorious at Barcelona and Le Castellet in the opening 2, and they are firmly back in the championship fight.
Yeah, cars will assemble on the start-finish straight, so our plucky fans in the grandstands there, and there's thousands of them, will at least get a chance to welcome the cars home in that situation. AO by TF, Louis Delatraz will bring the 99 car home, and that appears to have taken the win in LMP2 Pro Am. CLX Motorsports, the 17 car, that's enough, I think, for the championship for the Swiss team again. And GR Racing take the win in LMGT3. Astoundingly, that is that team, under either GR Racing or their Gulf Racing predecessors, first win since the European Le Mans Series here at Silverstone 10 years ago.
Well, there we go. They obviously love coming here, but that is quite a wait, a full decade.
Yeah, really sad to see Tom Fleming, a reaction there, really emotional reaction to the realisation they'd not, after all, taken that win with the count back. That is the overall classification. Edex Sport take the win, 104 laps completed on a rainy day here at Silverstone. Interior Pols 43 second, then Vector Sport complete the podium overall. In LMP2 Pro-Am, that reshuffled order at the end, the 20 Algar Pro racing car takes the win 7th overall from AO by TF and AF Corsa. In LMP3, it is the win and the championship for the 17 crew in their Ligier from CLX Motorsport, ahead of the similar cars from M Racing and Ultimate, the 68 and the 35. And then LMGT3, another adjustment post-race with a count back with a red flag. Richard Mille, of course, to take the win with a 50 Ferrari from GR Racing that led over the line, but then effectively it was counted back with the 86 Ferrari. TF Sports Corvette will complete the podium, the number 82. I think we're going to still see VDS Panis Racing ahead, but their gap is going to be scythed. And what it sets up as Matthias Kipp, from the head of Goodyear Racing, is giving out the trophies. Again, thanks so much to the hard-working crew at Goodyear for the backing for this event. It is the Goodyear for Hours of Silverstone. They're going to be, I think, a few points ahead, but Portimão is
it's going to be off the clock.
Well alight. Do not miss that one. It's always a fantastic season finale. If you can get there, get there.
Yeah. But don't get there too late. It's not a Sunday race, Saturday race. So Friday qualifying for ELMS cars and then racing Saturday. Back to the midday start is my belief. And also worth remembering that Portimão doesn't follow Central European time. It actually marries up with the UK. So that's an hour before as well.
Remarkable season underway here from this 28 crew. Win, win, 11th, win. All the ones.
Yeah, it is, indeed. So there is a pattern to some degree to their season.
It's a second podium finish, by the way, for Vector Sport. Congratulations to them. 43, well in this championship hunt, as of course Redex Sports. And VDS Panis Racing will have picked up points here. That recovery drive up the field has made a difference. I think keeps them just clear, but the 1-2 here are pretty much together on points, and I think maybe 8, 9, 10 points behind.
Well, as the champagne sprays, so it's already a very, very damp podium, but we needed to do that certainly to release some tension as well, because that's been a tough afternoon's work for all drivers concerned.